What's going on, everybody? We're back at it with some more Destiny information. And I'm just going to start with saying they have done it again. Let's break it down. All right, so when I mean that they've done it again, they are completely changing an entire aspect of the game, starting with armor, specifically legendary armor. They said exotic armor is going to come later in the future whenever they get it more fine-tuned. So they're going to be changing it more where it's not every, as it says right here, stats on armors will be changing in Codename Frontiers in order to make them more player friendly. The first major change in the mechanics of the stats themselves. Stats effects will no longer be tiered every 10 points. So for all of our armor that is currently, we have the triple 100, quad 100 builds. Those are basically going out the door. It's going to piss off a lot of people, but at the same time, it's going to give us a reason to kind of go back out there and farm for armor, because I'm going to be honest, the moment you get it, you're not farming for it anymore. And they know that, so that's what they're trying to change. So I'm not too upset about it. It's going to give me a reason to hopefully get some armor that's going to be beneficial for me. But another thing that they're changing is the stats will be capped at 200 now. So it's the usual effects from 1 to 100, with each effect trying to be more likely from there. But after that, it's going to give us an additional, from 100 to 200, an additional powerful effect building on the base effect. This change, and it says this change is intended to support deeper investment in a smaller number of stats and spike your stat distributions on armor with fewer secondary dump stats. I'm actually perfectly fine with that, because that doesn't mean everyone can focus on the same thing or focus on a little bit of everything and just throw abilities left, right, and center, which I think will definitely help fix ability spamming, because now you either have to focus on recovery, intellect, strength, all those basic ones, and hopefully get a little bit of something from other stats. So now it says, in addition to the above changes, the distribution of stats on armor will also be changing. Legendary armor will have a stat archetype. I think that's going to be a lot easier to figure out what's going to be more beneficial, other than kind of having to figure it out, other than just, hey, this one does this plus this. So it's definitely going to be nicer. So it says, which determines the primary and secondary stat types, with a third stat being a free roll. So as you can tell right here, it says brawler. So it's mainly going to be focusing on your strength and discipline. So it's going to be more of recovery and stuff like that. I mean, you can still get a free possibility, but your main stats are going to be strength and discipline. So it looks like they're trying to have people focus in on 2 stats, with a possibility of getting a third, but it's not as likely. Ooh, that's actually really cool. So it says the class slots, like the cloaks, the bonds, and the titan marks, will have full stat distributions on par with other slots. So now it's not just, cool, I can masterwork it and get plus 2 stats. It's a possibility of getting a 64 stat roll, a 68 stat roll from your legendary marks, exotic marks, my bad. All those possibilities, get all that other stuff. So your stats will be higher, but it's not going to be as impactful because you have that 200 cap now. Okay, so now they're going to break it down into it says new stats. So some stats will be changing with 3 goals in mind. Improve specific weak stats that offer little value. So I'm assuming they're kind of saying like, probably, I wouldn't say mobility. Probably mobility would be one, because it's only beneficial towards each specific class. Intellect would probably be one. Yeah, it does matter when you're doing certain things, but whenever you're doing PvE, it does not matter at all, because no matter what, you're still going to have it in game. You're going to get it back no matter what. It's not all based around, oh, I can get it before so-and-so. Number 2, it's reduce or eliminate mandatory must-have stats. So by that, I'm assuming it means recovery, mobility, resilience, probably those 3 stats, I'm assuming is what they're kind of focusing on, because the other 3, yeah, you can pick and have each one. And then it also says overall improve understandability of stats and their effects. So here are a few examples. It's going to say discipline. It's going to be renamed to grenade to make it more understandable for people that are just getting into the game, which I absolutely love, because when I first started, I did not know what discipline was, because it doesn't make sense for it to not just say like grenade or anything like that, because that's what it does. So from 1 to 100, it improves the cooldown. So it looks like it's keeping the cooldowns for strength as well from 1 to 100. So it might just be like a little, not a tier base, but like a percentage base. Instead of 10s, 20s, 30s, it's just going to be percentage base now. And then for, I guess it's going to be called a grenade now, from 101 to 200, provides an increasing chance to gain a bonus grenade charge whenever your grenade becomes available. So that, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, because that means that's basically a chance for a whole bunch of grenades to just be thrown, which would kind of nullify the effect of them nerfing swarm nades, for instance, because let's be honest, if you can just continuously, if you have two of them, you can just toss one, toss one, toss one, toss one, toss one, toss one, or if you run it with 200 and you have in that possibility, I can understand why they nerfed it and now it's going to this, but it kind of feels like depending on a person's luck, it's going to be interchanging now. And it does the same thing for strength, which, oh god, that's going to be terrifying. I feel like that's going to mean a lot of shoulder charge, a lot of electro slides. I definitely think it's going to, I don't know how big of an increasing chance. I don't know if it's capped out at like 20, 50, 70, or 100 whenever it gets to 200. I hope not, but it seems like that's the possibility. And if so, that's going to be a little terrifying. But something really interesting I want to bring up real quick. It says special ammo. So I don't know if that means they are going to be bringing in another stat for like special ammo, heavy ammo, and stuff like that. Because it says it from 1 to 100, it increases rate at which special ammo bricks drop from final blows, and then 101 to 200, it provides an increasing chance that double-sized bricks will drop. I don't know if that's going to be just like a guaranteed stat that they're going to be adding in, or if how many other stats they're going to be adding in other than the original 6, which if that's the case, I don't know if it's going to be beneficial or if it's just going to be something that people are going to toss to the side until it gets buffed to high hell. We're just going to have to wait and see until they come up with something for that. But something I really actually love is set bonuses. I've loved set bonuses in every single game I've ever played. And I was kind of hoping for the same for Destiny whenever I realized, A, weapons are getting manufacturers. Hopefully armor will come in. I have manufacturers for sets. That way you would have to, there was going to be so much more build crafting relying about using this with this, possibly with this and that. For instance, like we have the Tex Machina. When you have 2 pieces equipped, while shooting from the hip, you have increased movement speed and weapon handling. Effect increases when you score hits. And then at 4 pieces, it says Tex Machina weapons have increased range and accuracy when hip fired. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna want to use that. So does that mean it's gonna bust like Last Word? Who knows? But it is a fun concept to think about, that they're adding in all of these simple little bonuses and stuff that they're wanting people to build, have a much broader aspect. Once they add this in, it's not going to be as small tuned and fine tuned of we need this weapon with this, with these perks and possibly this stats. No, now it's going to be like, okay, what armor set do we want to use with this weapon, or does it matter, or what weapon is it going to be our primary? Do we want to use our primary, secondary to offer our armor theme towards, or who knows? There's going to be a huge, more broad aspect that is going to bring in, kind of fix a lot. So now they're going to be bringing up the old armor situation. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like our armor is going to be as super useful because they're not going to be the way we're wanting them to be. But it says old armor pieces will have their stat types, but not their values changed around them. When possible, these changes will be to the most similar stat, but with some stats being fundamentally reworked, this won't always be possible, which is a little upsetting, but at the same time, I understand because you can't really guarantee a fix for everything whenever it comes out. So it might be better for a bunch of people to just hold on to their armor for now. Whenever it comes in, take a look, build, adjust, you know? And like I said, it says for the exotic armor specifically, the exotic class items introduced in the final shape are a special case. Even though legendary class items will be gaining full random stats with this update, we don't wish to add additional randomness to the exotic class item chase. Instead, we'll be providing a method for players to update their existing exotic class items with additional stats of their choosing to bring them in line with the stat contribution of the new legendary class items. So until they figure out right here, it says for the exotic armor, it says to make sure that exotics and their build defining perks remain a compelling option, we are working out a design that will allow players to update their exotic armor to bring their stat bonuses in line with the changes to legendary armor. I actually really love that because that would kind of nullify for a lot. Like Armamentarium originally gives you 2 grenades already, but since you have a possibility of drawing another one, is it really going to be necessary or not? That's something to think about, and I'm glad they already thought about it. And yeah, I understand. I thought about it too. What about the vault space? Well, looks like they already thought about that, because it says we know that vault pressure is a real problem for many players, even with recent increases in vault space. Outside of adding more space, an option, Real solutions that enable long-term storage of more desirable roles are really hard problems, but those are the problems we're penciling into our roadmap at or around next year's second expansion, codename Behemoth. So it seems like around codename Behemoth is when everything will kind of air, or maybe just before or the season after. Not too much we know about it. I will keep you all updated, and I hope everything plays out as fun as I hope it does. But other than that, hope you all enjoy it. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.